This is Vlog5. Say hi, Preston. He's chewing on this bone thing. If you are bullying anybody, please get some help. It's not okay. Things can change for you and others if you just are willing to accept the fact that what you're doing is not okay. Okay? You're gonna have to work along with a lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people who used to bully now cannot accept the fact that they used to be bullies, so they have been projecting that onto me. Again, it's actually called psychosis. I don't know if it's legal to prescribe that kind of stuff to children. I mean, those are pretty strong medications. I wouldn't really recommend people take that lightly. It's for serious mental disorders, okay? It's not really for something like... It's not like a Tylenol. Again, I wouldn't really advise people take Tylenol just to, like... whatever. Like, those are pretty serious medications, too. I know people don't consider it serious because it's not addictive. Right? There's no, like... withdrawal effects like caffeine when you stop consuming Tylenol or any other non-steroid anti-inflammatory NSAID drugs. Yeah. So I guess the main problem is that there's this woman named Jenna Davies and she's been stalking me online. And she had a bunch of people involved, like track all the videos through my computer and on my phone, and she was showing it to other people and they thought that's what I was like, and they started copying me from the videos they've seen. And to be quite honest, that's not really, like, I wasn't doing that because that's how I behave, and I wasn't doing that to hide myself. I was being sarcastic. I know a lot of people don't understand what sarcasm is. So it's sarcasm is me behaving in a way another person behaves to the T. But it's like, it's mocking somebody, basically. Yeah. And why people use sarcasm is if somebody has been insulting towards a person. So if somebody came up to me and started insulting me for no reason, and they don't even know that it's insulting or rude, derogatory or offensive, that's when I'd start being sarcastic. Because that person's an idiot and is very obnoxious, projects all the time, and only talks about themselves all the time. And I'd be sick of it. I'm like, there's really nothing more I can say to this person. Maybe they just like to hear themselves talk. So that's when I would be sarcastic. But yeah, they were trying to make me feel bad. Basically, they were trying to bully me. Again, I'm not a 5-year-old child, nor am I like a 12-year-old girl going through puberty. Like, that doesn't hurt my feelings anymore. I mean, it never really did. Kind of shocked me when I was younger, and I'm like, what's wrong with you people? It turns out, this is my theory, okay? I don't know if this is a fact, but for kids, there's not much people can do when they have the kind of abnormal behavior. They can prevent them from going further, and they can kind of stop them from, like, they can't medicate them until they're 18. That's illegal. Okay, that will fuck up their brain. And it's really not recommended unless they have like a severe behavioral disorder where it interrupts them from even going to the bathroom. Right? Like, they can't even go to the bathroom without like somebody, like a team going in with them. So that's when they might even consider medicating the child under the age of 18. And these kind of behavioral problems pop up when they're like 3, 4, 5 years old. So like, there's not even enough drugs that are like weak enough for that child that would be effective. Like, toxicity levels is correlative with efficacy of the medication. I hate talking about meds. Some dangerous stuff. Like, it warps your brain and your perceptions, but only because they're supposed to. But in any case, with kids who have that kind of disorders, it's very prevalent from a young age, and the problem is that they can't medicate the child, and they don't understand it because they're children. Like, you can't like, sometimes when you're a certain age you can't grasp certain concepts, right? It's like kind of inexperienced, but like I don't expect a 10-year-old to know what it's like to go through divorce or even understand the ins and outs of marriage. Like, that's ridiculous. How can anybody know that at 10 years old? Their job is to go to school, play, and make friends, right? Or like do extracurricular activities, like lessons and stuff. But like outside of that, they don't know that much, right? They don't even know why their parents are together. Like, that's like, they can't understand it. That's the problem, because they're children. So I'm thinking maybe because of it, like the fact that they're just kids and there's not much that they can do, they actually do have therapies for kids, so they can kind of like at the very least be emotionally stable. So if there's something that they come across that they don't understand, or other people aren't responding the way that they like, or the way that other people are responding to them is harmful, or they perceive it as harmful, right? They, instead of acting out on their emotions, as in they get angry and start punching other kids, or start stealing, or start like yelling and screaming obscenities at other children or other teachers or parents or whatever, they can at least like learn how to take themselves on a timeout, or you know, like learn therapeutic techniques so like they can calm down faster. Like, that's as much as they can do, I think. For I mean, they can medicate them, but I don't think it's recommended. I wouldn't medicate a young child. I think it's kind of messed up. I mean, like, there's again, I get that some people, especially some kids, this is why there's medicine, they aren't born with all the stuff that they need in their body, like genetically and like with enzymes and everything. Like, sometimes it's missing, there's parts missing, right? And to not compensate, but like to like supplement it, right, they can be medicated, and it should help them with behavioral problems that stem from hormones or something else, right? Like their development, for whatever reason, they're not developing at the rate that they should be developing. So the medications help supplement those kinds of things. I don't think it's a good way to go doing that, but better than not having that, honestly. They won't even be able to communicate it to anybody. Like, that's the sad part. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, the problem kids don't get better. Unfortunately, there's really nothing they can do to like help change who they are. Like, that's just who they are. But like, I think the problem might be because when people are like that since a young age versus when they get older and they're like that, it's like you can separate the person from the disease, right? Like, just because somebody has a disease isn't that's not who they are, right? Like, they are not the disease. Okay, they have a disease. It's most oftentimes they are treatable, the disease, but I think with kids, like, it's hard to separate the disease from the child because you don't actually know if it's a disease or if it's a kid's thing. And by the time they get older and they already have some sort of coping mechanisms that they've learned on their own through their peers' responses and their parents and their caregivers and all that kind of stuff, like, and their teachers, it just kind of solidifies their perception, right? Like, it habituates it, and it's kind of hard to like, it's really hard to like rearrange your neurons. That's not something like, if you want to get in there and, you know, open up the brain and try to like rearrange it yourself, it's not gonna work. Like, you're gonna end up cutting a lot more out than you should be, right? I mean, very few times, I think it's very rare where the neurosurgeon would even actually go in and look at the brain directly. They usually go through scans and other testing to see how the person's doing. I mean, if there's tumors, I actually saw a video of a tumor being removed from a brain. The entire tumor area was like the cancer. They had brain cancer, and the entire area had to be cut out, and there was like a huge chunk. It was like a fatty white chunk, but the brain had a hole after, so the entire area, like, it was like this big. That fatty chunk that the surgeon took out, it wasn't like it was gonna get filled back in with more neurons. Not that the neurons don't regenerate, they do. But again, like, the way that the brain works is that these neuronal cells are covered by fatty tissue. And these fatty tissue help with the electrical impulses or signals of the brain, and help to pat down the brain so there's less damage to the actual connecting things. Yeah, so kind of like it sends one signal to another, and those signals correlate to responses in the body, or the response in the body correlate to the signals in the brain. So there's like two types of responses. So there's input output thing. So there's like, if I touch my face like this, like there's a stimulus or stimulant or whatever from the outside of my face, and it triggers these responses, the nerve cells, and it the nerve cell sends signals, like electrical impulses, right to the brain to notify that there's been there's something on my face. Like there's something poking my face. Or I can actually send signals from my brain to my finger to say, poke my face. So I can go yeah. So that's the those are the two different types of signals the brain is responsible for. Okay. Now, in order to again, because it's so automatic and it happens in less than a second, right? Less than a millisecond. Because people need to. Ow! Stop it! What the fuck his problem is? He started biting me. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry, mommy. I'm sorry for biting you. Yeah, look, he's licking me now. What the hell is wrong with this dog? What is wrong with you? But yeah, it has to be automatic. Otherwise, it isn't basically a person would be in a vegetative state if it wasn't. And in order for it to be automatic, it kind of has to be hardened. The responses, the neuronal pathway, has to be utilized to such an extent where it's so solidified and it gives the brain the structure and the shape, right? And that happens during childhood. That's when people's thing is developed, and then by the time it reaches a certain point in the person's life, it actually kind of retains a shape, right? It's a shape a person has in their brain, and that's kind of what they work with when they are fully developed. But when they're kids, they don't actually an infant has a small brain, and as it gets older, it increases in its mass, right? Increases in size. And when that happens, at the same time, infant brain is very malleable, and it doesn't have the ridges and the grooves that an adult brain has. So an adult brain has these ridges and grooves. They call the sulci and the it's called the valleys and the whatever's. Oh, this has been a while since I used my textbook. Okay, the sulci and the ventricles, the ventricles are the water in your brain. The waterways in your brain are called ventricles. Sulci and something else. Anyway, basically, the more folds and ridges you have in your brain, the better it is for you. It means there's more neuronal connections in your brain than if you just had a smooth brain. If you have a smooth brain, it means you're dummy. You're a dumbass. Your brain is not supposed to look like a ball. It's supposed to look like a crinkled. Think of it this way. If you had a large piece of paper and you crinkled it into a little thing, right? Then it only encompasses this amount of space because you managed to crinkle the large piece of paper into a ball structure. And if you lay it flat out, then you know how big the entire surface area is going to be. It's kind of like that for the brain too. It has such a large surface area, but it's crinkled into this little ball-shaped structure. And that's how people have IQ. I know it's hereditary most of the time. person's development is hereditary. It's not the same for everyone, which is why psychologists say it's a social construct, right? It means that these are like the accepted standards of certain regions in this current trends, in these current times, based on whatever's happening or happened, right? But that doesn't mean that everybody is supposed to develop the same way, but there are benchmarks that people are supposed to reach at a certain age, such as defecating, eating, communicating, and being able to walk, that kind of stuff that's non-specific, right? Very general stuff. They're supposed to be able to reach those benchmarks by a certain age. There's a lot of toys to help supplement a child's growth, which are not mandatory, but a lot of people don't people, if they think it's not mandatory, then they don't actually consider it to be something to be considered. But yeah, children's toys, that's what it's for development of kids, right? And then there's children's books. You're supposed to read your children and like take them out to like meet other kids, and then take them out around the neighborhood for like what do you call it, like a skeletal development, something like that. Yeah, they're gonna get very fat very quickly if you don't exercise your kids. Like, I've seen bodies of people who don't exercise, like, and people who do it, it's like they gain fat like crazy. Like, I'm talking about like actual working out, like going to the gym, or like if you play hockey or soccer or something like that. That's actually not enough, but they're supposed to do some sort of workouts, like the ones that actually like test your tensile strength of your bone structure, and then the joints and the ligaments, like the things that like actually like cause you to be sore after. Yeah, those things are the exercises that kids are supposed to have before they get to a certain age. Otherwise they start gaining weight, and the body is not used to being able to distribute the energy or like the fat to the muscles or the skeleton compounds. He's being a big suck now. Look at him, he just like started biting me, attacking me. I told him to back off, and now he's like, oh mommy, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, that's my face. Oh, every time he does that. He's so cute. He's very insecure. I don't know why. Like literally nothing would be happening, everything would be fine, and he started like biting me and barking at me for no reason. And then he's like, mommy, I feel insecure. And I'm like, what the fuck? Can you calm down for like 5 minutes? Literally, I'm like, what's wrong with my dog? Why is he like this? Oh my god, it's already been 18 minutes. Ugh. But basically, if you're a fucked up kid, I'm sorry. I think it might have a lot to do with your conception. So like your time during your mom's womb, and like how she responded to you when you were born. The first few months is critical. She has to love you. She didn't love you, and she's just like, ew, what the fuck's wrong with my baby? Then yeah, I might actually have a little bit of a problem as you get older. Not always, but sometimes it happens like that, because you're that type of person to respond that way. And that's kind of like maybe similar to your parents or your aunts or uncles or something. Who knows? Yeah. Some kids are medicated at a very young age. They have ADHD or whatever.